I brought 1 million in cash into the mountains to source honey, only to face a collective price hike from the bee farmers right when we were loading. Every single one of them went back on the price. We agreed on earlier, even bragging they'd rather let it rot in the barrels than sell it to me. Boss Shoe current market rate is 80 per caddy, but the buying price you're offering is 30 per caddy. This is straight up robbery. I looked at this unfamiliar young man completely bewildered while the village chief quickly stepped in to explain. Boss Shu, this is Songja Auntie Jiang's son-in-law. He's a college student who understands economics. So we're letting him represent everyone to negotiate with you today. Watching those familiar bee farmers all hiding behind Songji with shifty eyes, I realized things weren't that simple. Negotiate. The contract is signed and the price is locked. What's left to negotiate? But I still kept a smile on my face. Time is tight. Let's load the trucks first, and whatever you want to say, we can sit down and chat slowly after we're done. Hold it. Auntie Jiang suddenly rushed out from the crowd, spreading her arms to block the honey barrels. Let's see who dares touch my family's livelihood. Auntie Jiang, what is the meaning of this? We signed a contract in black and white. Today is delivery day, cash on delivery. Are you trying to breach the contract? Standing on the side, Song just suddenly sneered. Don't bring out that scrap of paper to intimidate honest folks. In a market economy, everything has to follow the laws of the market. Then he turned to face the bee farmers. Everyone tell him how much honey is selling for right now. It's selling for over 80 online. Some are even selling for 100 AB. Farmer took out his phone to show screenshots of the prices. Songji playfully turned his head to look at me. Hear that Boss Shu offering this price is a bit too dishonest of you, don't you think? Though furious, I still explained to him patiently. Mr. Song, you can't calculate the math like that. First, that's retail. Price, not the buying price. Second, doing business requires a contractual spirit. A month ago, when no one wanted your honey, I provided the guaranteed floor price. Why didn't you guys mention the market economy back then? Moreover, for the honey of your village to be better transported to the outside world. I then pointed at the road beneath our feet. This road was also built with 200,000 yuan out of my own pocket. And those beehives were gifted by me. If we go by the market economy, shouldn't this money also be counted as part of the cost? That was your own choice who begged you to build the road. You wanted to build it, so that's your sunk cost. What does it have to do with our honey price? I looked at Auntie Jiang in astonishment. A month ago, she was just a simple peasant woman who could only say, "Thank you, boss." Now she could actually throw out economic jargon like sunk cost from her mouth. Then I looked coldly at Song Jae. The term sunk cost. You taught her that, right? I'm just helping the villagers brush up on some basic knowledge so they don't get ripped off by unscrupulous profiteers. And still help them count the money. Boss Shu, don't use building the road as an excuse either. Once the road is built, isn't it also convenient for your trucks to come and go? To put it bluntly, it still serves you. No need for nonsense. If this honey is still 30 yuan a caddy for you, don't even think about taking it away. If you want to load the trucks, it has to be according to the current market rate. Then how much do you want? Considering you built the road, we won't ask for 80. Songja held up 5 fingers and flashed them in front of my face. 50 per caddy, not a single penny less. 50. Right now, the average market buying price for National Standard Grade 1 honey is only 35 to 38. You open your mouths and demand 50, this is extortion. Say whatever you want, but the honey is in our hands anyway. If your 15 large trucks go back empty, you'll lose at least tens of thousands in fuel alone, plus the liquidated damages. Oh wait, your contract itself shows unfairness. Even if we go to court, we might not lose. He leaned in close to me and lowered his voice. Boss Shu, you take this honey back, package it nicely, and sell it for 120, effortlessly. Sharing a bit of the soup with us isn't too much, right? Don't be too greedy as a human or you'll easily choke to death. I looked at Song Jae's face, which was full of scheming, and finally looked at Lin Dashan. Village Chief Lin, is this your intention too? Boss Shu, it's not easy for everyone, and the market rate has indeed gone up. Just think of it as showing some charity. 50 yuan to you is just a matter of earning a little less, isn't it? Earning a little less. I had originally prepared a price of 38 yuan. That was my empathy for the cold wave, it was my sincerity. But now facing this bunch of ungrateful villagers who mistake my goodwill for weakness and take my sacrifice for granted. My sincerity was purely wasted on ungrateful wolves. The more I thought about it, the more agitated I got, but in the end I held back. I am a businessman. I don't just calculate financial accounts, I also calculate emotional ones. If I blow up right now, this batch of honey would indeed be a pity, so I took a deep breath and pulled that contract out from my suit pocket. 50 is absolutely impossible, but considering that everyone is indeed affected by the cold wave and your mindset is fluctuating, I can take a step back. Songji's eyes lit up, thinking I had chickened out. I'm not an unreasonable person either. 38 yuan. This is the absolute highest price I can offer right now. This extra 8 yuan can be considered as me making a friend. Load the trucks, now cash on delivery. In the market at that time, this was definitely the top tier buying price. I thought this was already giving them plenty of leeway to back down. As long as they had a bit of a brain, they should have taken it. However, I underestimated human greed. 38. Are you handing out scraps to beggars, Song? She already said this. Honey is worth 80, yet you give us 38. Your heart is way too black, Boss Shu. Are you playing us like monkeys, 50, not a penny less? If you have no sincerity, then please leave. We will keep this honey ourselves and sell it through live streaming. When it sells for 100, then don't get jealous. Yeah, we'll sell it ourselves. Black-hearted merchant, get out of our bee village. The bee farmers' stirred up emotions ran high. Some even started shoving my drivers. Looking at this crowd of distorted faces, I suddenly felt the cash in the trunk was so ridiculous. Once upon a time, because the mountain roads were hard to travel, the local honey remained unsold year after year, even selling for 15 yuan a caddy at most. After I learned about the situation, I not only paid out of pocket to build the road, but also gave a high price of 30 yuan a caddy, and promised that whether it was first-grade honey or slightly inferior stuff, I would buy it all at this price. Considering the transportation wear and tear and freshness issues of honey, I specifically ordered a batch of food-grade high-density poly, ethylene, and customized several hundred new types of beehives with temperature monitoring, transporting them to the village in advance to gift them. Unexpectedly, the country suffered a rare late spring cold. It was an autumn cold wave. The northern honey bases suffered massive frost, and several major honey-producing areas in the south also had their output slashed in half due to continuous rain. But because the bee village had a special geographical location, situated in a microclimate zone between two mountains and a valley surrounded by mountains on all sides, it blocked the cold current. The honey source plants not only didn't freeze, but had a higher honey concentration due to less rain. At this time, the market price had already risen to 35 yuan a caddy, so I made a decision to raise the price. I had finance prepare cash at the rate of 38 yuan a caddy. CEO Shu isn't the contract at 30. With this increase, we're earning hundreds of thousands less, you know. Take the long view. This is called buying loyalty with gold, letting them know that following CEO Shu means they won't get the short end of the stick. I thought sincerity could be traded for true feelings, but it seems it was just my arrogance after all. Fine, then sell it yourselves. I nodded slowly, folded the contract in my hand, and put it back into my pocket. Turning around to face all the drivers, there was no more anger on my face, only a heart-stopping calmness. All units, attention, get in the trucks, turn around, and head back to the city. Old Chen froze for a moment, almost dropping the walkie-talkie in his hand. Boss Shu, are we really leaving? This is 15 trucks. We've burned a lot of gas money. How about we negotiate again? Offer them 40. This honey is indeed good stuff. We can turn it into cash right after taking it back. No more negotiations, Old Chen. Remember, in business, losing money can be earned back. But if you let people ride on your neck to take a dump and still have to put on a smiling face, you'll never be able to stand tall in this lifetime. Execute the order. Yes, all units, attention, pack up and return to the city. This scene clearly exceeded everyone's expectations. They originally thought I would beg, that I would bargain, that I would be like a snake pinned by its weak spot, and ultimately have to agree to that ridiculous 51 price. After all, who would be willing to let the hundreds of thousands spent on building the road go down the drain? Songji, instantly flying into a rage from shame, rushed up and pointed at my nose. Zhu Guiyuan, how dare you leave? If you leave today, even if you kneel and beg us in the future, we won't sell to you. I stopped. My pace turned around and looked at him like looking at a clown. Fellow villagers, remember what you said today. In the end, is it me who is heartless, or you who are unjust? The heavens are watching. Stop using the heavens to scare people. We are just defending our own rights. It's your heart that's too black. Fine, since you think live streaming can sell it for 100, then I wish you a grand fortune. This overwhelming wealth is something I Shu have too little blessing to receive, so keep it for yourselves to enjoy. After saying that, I got into the car without looking back. The moment the convoy disappeared at the mountain pass, The bee village erupted in unprecedented cheers. Right after I left Song, Ji leaped onto the big millstone of the village committee. Villagers see that this is the paper tiger of the capitalists. He got cold feet. Because he knows he can't earn our hard-earned blood money anymore, we won't let him. We won't let him win. Songji is really something. Even the big boss got cursed out and ran away by you. Exactly. Our honey quality is so good, why should we worry about selling it? Listen to Songja, let's do live streaming. Sell it for 80, no, sell it for 100. That afternoon, the bee village felt like celebrating the new year. They immersed themselves in the carnival of defeating capitalism, not knowing that they had personally severed the only lifeline connecting this closed-off mountain village with modern commercial civilization. They thought they were driving away a blood-sucking wolf. Little did they know they were driving away the only person willing to give them charcoal in a blizzard. After returning to the company, I had the chief financial officer redeposit that $1 million in cash back into the bank. Boss, that $200,000 for building the road plus the shop's cold chain deposit. And the beehive money adds up to nearly $400,000. How do we fill this hole? Just consider it tuition money. In addition, notify the legal department to prepare to sue all contract-signing bee farmers in Bee Village for breach of contract. Although the probability of getting the money back is low, I want them to leave a heavy stroke on their credit reports. Understood. Then what about the honey shortage? Go contact the base over in Yunqing. Although the price is a bit higher, the volume is massive and enough to go around. It's fine to earn less money, but our reputation cannot be lost. After arranging the work, I opened my phone and saw that Song. Ji had registered an account on a certain short video platform called Bee Farmer Brother Ji. An updated video inside read, "College student returns. Home to start a business, bringing you the pure taste from the deep mountains. Say no to middlemen earning the price difference." The first live stream was tonight. When I clicked into the live stream room, there were already 200 to 300 people inside. He was seen standing in Auntie Zhang's yard with those dozens of large blue barrels I sent over piled up behind him. The lighting was dim and the picture quality was blurry. Songja, wearing that ill-fitting suit, was shouting desperately at the camera to sell. "Family, see this? This is pure, natural, pollution-free, deep mountain wild honey. Today, Brother G is giving benefits to the family. Not 998 nor 198. Only 88 yuan a caddy. Free shipping to your home." In his hand, he held a spoon I had originally customized for taking samples, scooping up a spoonful of honey to display the thread-forming effect in front of the camera. Look at this color. Look at how it coats the wall. Brothers who know the goods type want to eat on the public screen. Auntie Zhang and several aunties served as the background plates behind him, smiling with rigid faces, holding up pieces of cardboard found from who knows where, with "pure natural" scrawled crookedly on them. I glanced at the comment section. 88 is so expensive it's only sold for 40 in the supermarket. Upstairs, do you know what you're talking about? This is wild honey. What supermarkets sell is called sugar water. Does the host have a food business license? Is there an SC? Mark, what courier will be sent? How is the packaging? We are agricultural products, self-produced and self-sold, supported by the state. We don't need those messy certificates. And it's free shipping nationwide, safety guaranteed. Seeing this, I turned off the live stream and sneered. Ignorance is truly bliss. They thought live stream selling was just shouting a few words at a phone and then waiting to collect money. But they didn't know how high the trust cost is in the absence of brand endorsement. They knew even less how horrifying the damage rate of fluid goods like honey is during courier transportation. If you don't use professional shock-proof air columns and customized foam boxes to mail them out of 10 bottles, 5 can break. The most fatal part was that they didn't have a food production license. Small-scale self-production and self-sale. Although allowed under certain policies once on a platform, getting targeted by professional anti-counterfeiters means total destruction. Moreover, Songja sets a price of 88 yuan. In this price range, consumers' requirements for packaging, service, and logistics are extremely high. They used the most primitive plastic, bottles wanting to sell a luxury price. It was simply a pipe dream. Sure enough, problems quickly arose. On the first day of the live stream, relying on his pedigree as a returning college student and his circle of friends as a killer, they did indeed sell a few hundred orders. Auntie Zhang and the others were thrilled, spending the night using plastic mineral water bottles and lao gan ma jars to portion out the honey, then casually stuffing them into cardboard boxes with newspaper and mailing them out. The shipping fee alone took away 12 yuan per order, the profit doubling that Songji had originally promised. Shrunk a lot after deducting shipping fees and packaging fees. But no matter what, selling at 88 yuan meant still getting over 70 in hand. which was still much higher than my 38 yuan. The bee farmers were full of drive and even started mocking me. However, the good times didn't last long. A few days later, a batch of goods reached the customer's hands and the disaster began. Songji. What's going on, This phone keeps ringing non-stop. It's all people cursing. Songja was lying on the brick bed, dreaming of getting rich, impatiently taking the phone to look. His face instantly turned white. It was full of refund requests and negative reviews. Some customers complained about poor packaging and leaked honey. Some customers questioned the honey quality, and some customers wanted to report them. Songji explained in a flurry. Cut it out, those were transportation accidents, pure wild honey. Just naturally carries a bit of a sour taste. But no one listened to his explanations. The platform intervened, because the complaint rate was too high, and they couldn't provide complete food circulation qualifications. Songja's bee farmer brother Ji account was directly banned and the deposit was frozen. What was even scarier was that those customers who received damaged couriers not only demanded refunds but also demanded compensation for stained clothes and floors. In just 1 week's time, out of the 300-plus orders sold, the return rate was as high as 90%. The remaining 10% was also because the customers found it too troublesome to return, but directly gave negative reviews. Auntie Zhang looked at the house full of returned sticky packages and the red account freeze notification on the phone. She plopped down on the ground, slapping her thighs and crying aloud. Oh my God, what are we going to do now, the courier? Fees alone took thousands, not a single penny was seen, and we still have to compensate money. This is unscientific, That's not how they taught it on the internet. Songji was seen, shrinking into the corner, sweating profusely, completely losing his past prestige when he stood on the millstone directing everything. The worst thing was that because they used unhygienic containers to portion it out, coupled with the temperature rise during that period, those originally high-quality batches of honey, due to having no professional sealing and sterilization treatment, began to quietly ferment inside the plastic barrels. That originally sweet and mellow floral fragrance in the air began to be laced with a hint of sour, rotting wine smell. The ban on the live stream account was like a bucket of ice water, completely extinguishing that ball of false fire in Bee Village. Inside the village committee yard, facing a crowd of bee farmers holding return courier slips, and anxious like ants on a hot pan, Songja was still stubborn with his mouth. Everyone don't panic. The platform banning the account is just because they're jealous of our massive traffic. If this place won't keep us, there are places that will. We won't do live streaming anymore, we'll directly find other buyers. This of ours is top-grade wild honey. As long as we let the word out, there will be plenty of bosses scrambling to get it. Songji, is this reliable of yours? We've already lost several thousand in courier fees. We can't afford to mess around anymore, Uncle, rest assured I'll contact them right now. Songja pulled out his phone and in front of the whole village began to dial the numbers of those agricultural product buying companies he searched up online. But what he didn't know was that as early as the second day after leaving Bee Village, I had already objectively stated what happened in Bee Village. In the Provincial Agricultural Product Industry Association Group, those who do supply chains are most afraid of a dishonest supplier. So when Songji's calls went out, everyone's reaction was surprisingly identical. Hello, is this Manager Wang? I have a batch of top-grade wild honey from Bee Village here. Bee Village? Is that Lin Deshawn's village? Yes, you know it, that's great. The batch of goods that Boss Shu didn't take right. You guys are pretty bold, even daring to stand Boss Shu up. I don't want to get mixed up in that mess. I still want to cooperate with Boss Shu. Songji's expression changed a bit. Songji forced a smile and said to the bee farmers, let's switch to another one. Manager Liu, you buy honey in bulk. Right, we have 30,000 caddies here. What's the price? Originally, the market price is 80. I'll give you a discount at 60. 60. You haven't woken up yet, right? Boss Shu gave you 38 and you didn't sell. Now you're looking for me to be the scapegoat. I can offer 20 at most. Take it or leave it. 20. Why don't you just rob us? Then keep it to drink yourselves, Song. She made over a dozen calls in a row. Either they hung up directly or as soon as they heard the words Bee Village, they mocked and sneered. Some people even directly called them ungrateful villagers. The most brutal one was a boss who specifically buys fourth-grade honey to make feed additives. He laughed loudly over the phone and said, I heard you guys pissed Boss Shu off and ran him away, beautifully done. But your honey's reputation is ruined now. I can take it 10 yuan a caddy. I don't mind that you have no credit anyway, I make pig feed. Songja hastily hung up the phone. A deathly silence enveloped the entire village committee yard. Songji, is this the scrambling to get it you talked about? Scrambling to get a watermelon peel, you wasteful piece of trash. Are you trying to ruin the whole village? This This is not my fault. It's that Shu Guiyuan. It must be him playing tricks behind our backs he's blacklisting. Us. Boss Shu gave 38 and you didn't sell. You insisted on selling at 80. Now look at this. Others are offering 10 yuan. Give me back my courier fees. My family paid 500 yuan out of pocket for shipping, and we haven't seen a single penny. That's right. Give back the money. Also, those 2 barrels of honey of mine were ruined from tossing them around during portioning. The bee farmers instantly lost control. The college student who was once lifted to the altar at this moment became a street rat that everyone shouted at to beat up. Song. G was shoved around off balance, and his originally shiny hair was messy like a chicken coop. In my office, listening to the audio clip sent by my contact, I coldly curled the corner of my mouth. This is called digging your own grave. Commercial society has rules of commercial society. When you break the rules for immediate small interests, the rules will also crush you without mercy. I didn't need to intentionally blacklist them. I only needed to state the facts, and they would be automatically expelled by this system that emphasizes credit. But this wasn't the ultimate despair for the bee farmers yet. If it were just that it couldn't be sold at worst, they could handle it cheaper, or keep it to eat slowly. But the heavens seemed to think the lesson given to them wasn't profound enough. Over the next few days, the temperature in the mountains suddenly and bizarrely rebounded. At noon, it could even reach over 20 degrees. For honey, this was fatal, although this batch of honey was of good quality, because during the live stream, they repeatedly scooped honey out of the large barrels and poured it back in for display. They used sterilized tools when portioning it out for shipping and for the convenience of portioning. They didn't use the professional sealing lids I gifted them, but casually covered it with a layer of plastic sheeting. That day, the moment Auntie Zhang entered the yard, she smelled a strange odor. It wasn't a floral fragrance, but a sour smell carrying the scent of distiller's grains. She hurriedly ran over and lifted the plastic sheeting of a large barrel. The honey surface, which was originally calm and translucent like amber, actually had fine white bubbles popping up at this moment. It was still constantly bubbling up, and a strong sour smell rushed right at her face, making her dizzy enough that she almost tumbled headfirst into it. Hubby, hubby, come quick, ah! Soon the whole village was in chaos. It wasn't just Auntie Zhang's house. Almost every single household's honey had a problem. The bee. Farmers were crying out one after another, looking at their own foaming honey that turned into sour water, completely at a loss. Linda Shan looked at those few plastic barrels in his own yard that were bloated like balloons, and his entire body went limp as he collapsed on the ground. He grabbed a handful of the fermented honey, stuffed it into his mouth, and instantly spat it out. It's over, completely over. The honey had fermented. Right now, forget about 38, even if they paid people to take it away. Others would complain that it takes up space. The original 30,000 caddies of liquid gold had now turned into 30,000 caddies of liquid garbage that needed disposal. Just when the entire village was crying out in despair over a yard full of sour water song, she was carrying a bag, preparing to quietly slip out of the village. He had been hiding in his mother-in-law's house these past few days, not daring to go out. Seeing that the honey was ruined, he knew that if he didn't leave now, he might get beaten to death. But he was quickly blocked at the village entrance by the bee farmers who were keeping an eye on him. Want to escape with your crappy marketing theory? No way. Sell this sour water for us. If you can't sell it, don't even think about leaving this village today. Uncle's elders, this is a natural disaster, an act of God. I didn't expect the weather to get hot either, and I didn't expect the honey to spoil. You didn't expect it. When Boss Shu came, he brought cold chain trucks, and you're the one who cursed him and drove him away. Boss Shu gifted us professional sealing barrels, and you're the one who made us open them to do live streaming. Give me back my money. Pay with your life. I was blind to believe. Your nonsense, that's 60,000 yuan, That was money for the kids' schooling, Now it's all turned into sour water. Give me back my money. Linda Shan stood outside the crowd watching this farce. The tobacco pipe in his hand had already been snapped in half by him out of sheer force, looking at the mess all over the ground. The look in my eyes when I left that day suddenly flashed across his mind. That wasn't anger, that was pity. What a sin, back when Boss Shu offered 38, why was I possessed by a ghost? And complained it was too little. That was money delivered right to our hands. Now the money is gone. The road is cut off. Our reputation is ruined. And even our family relations are torn apart. At this moment, the entire bee village was filled with a sickeningly sour smell. That was the smell of honey fermenting and also the smell of rotting greed. Meanwhile, in the city 100 kilometers away, I was sitting in a high-end restaurant across from my new business partner. Who came from Yuncheng? Boss Shu, this time it's all thanks to your trust for giving such a large order to us. Honesty is gold. As long as the goods are good and the people are real, price is not an issue. My phone vibrated once. It was a video sent by my contact. In the video, the bee farmers of Bee Village were surrounding that pile of fermented honey barrels, blaming each other amid a sea of crying. I took a glance expressions as I swiped and turned off the screen. What's wrong, Boss Shu? Nothing, just watched a farce that wasn't very funny. However, the plot didn't end there, only when people are driven to a dead end. Will they remember the road that they once stepped on under their feet? I knew they would be coming soon. This day I had just finished the morning meeting and was preparing to return to my office to handle documents. The receptionist Zhao Li ran in with a panicked expression. Boss, downstairs, a scene has broken out. A scene. Where are the guards? The guards can't hold them back. There are too many people. Over 20 people are holding a banner and some are kneeling at the entrance crying, saying they are your fellow villagers coming to apologize to you. I walked to the French window and looked down. On the plaza of the company building, a crowd of rustically dressed people who were cowering and shrinking back were crowding outside the revolving door. That once overwhelmingly arrogant Songja was now being held up by two people, his head drooping. Auntie Zhang was kneeling right at the front, kowtowing to the guard. On that banner, a few red characters were written crookedly, bearing thorns to apologize to Boss Shu, begging Boss Shu to save Bee Village. I let out a cold laugh. How ironic. A month ago, they called me a vampire and a black-hearted merchant at the village entrance demanding I get out of Bee Village. Now they traveled hundreds of kilometers to kneel under my company building, begging me to be their savior. Boss, should we call the police? No need. Let them wait downstairs, ignore them for an hour. An hour for that crowd downstairs would probably feel longer than a century. The security captain came up to report the situation to me. That Auntie Zhang cried and fainted twice. Lin Deshan has been slapping his own face continuously, and that guy named Song was forced by the furious bee farmers to kneel right at the front. His face is black and blue, clearly having taken quite a beating before coming. Then leading my secretary and several senior executives, I slowly walked out of the building. The few sealed barrels they brought along due to improper sealing had leaked gas on the bumpy road. That fermenting foul sour smell diffused across the glamorous and bright CBD plaza, causing the passing white-collar workers to cover their noses and look sideways, avoiding them like the plague. What was originally their proud liquid gold had now become a mark of shame that made them unable to lift their heads. Seeing my appearance, the originally noisy crowd instantly went dead silent for a second, immediately followed by a burst of heart-wrenching crying and shouting. Boss Shu, you've finally come out, Boss Shu. We were wrong. We are not human, Boss Shu. Save us, please. Our livelihood for this whole year depends entirely on you, Boss Shu. Auntie is kowtowing to you. Before my heart was blinded by lard and I listened to Song Ji's instigation. Please be the bigger person and don't mind our pettiness. Please take the honey, we beg you. Auntie Zhang scrambled up, wanting to rush over and hug my legs, but was firmly held back by two tall and sturdy security guards. While crying, she slammed her forehead against the granite floor, making loud thumping sounds. Lin Deshan walked forward tremblingly, holding a crumpled contract smudged with dirt in his hands, which was exactly the one they had previously regarded as scrap paper. Boss Shu, we want to go by the contract. 30 yuan? No, need for 30-20 is fine. As long as you take the honey away and leave a bite of food for the villagers. That Song Ji was shrinking at the very back of the crowd at this time like a frightened quail, completely losing his past sharpness when pointing fingers at the world. I stood on the steps looking down at them from above. Their faces were flushed red from the biting cold wind, and their eyes were filled with humility, fear, and begging. This couldn't overlap at all with those greedy, distorted, and arrogant faces from a month ago, but I remembered very clearly. I remembered Song Ji's sentence, only poor ghosts sell for 30. I remembered Auntie Zhang's sentence, the contract doesn't count. I remembered Lin Deshan's sentence, it's not easy for everyone. Village Chief Lin, you remember the contract at this time back when I brought the trucks over. Didn't you guys say it was scrap paper? Lin Deshan's old face flushed into a pig liver color, his hand holding the contract freezing in midair, caught in a dilemma. Boss Shu, 1,000 wrongs, it's all our fault. It was all caused by this Song Ji. He lied to us saying it could sell for 80, and he photoshopped pictures to spread rumors. Boss Shu, we brought him here too. He's at your disposal, as long as you are willing to take the honey. Boss Shu, I was wrong, I was ignorant, I am legally illiterate. Please spare me, Songja. lay prostrate on the ground, his whole body trembling as he begged for mercy with a crying tone. Watching this farce, I only felt disgusted. All right, stop acting. You hate Songja. Not because he lied to you, but because he didn't manage to make you money. If it really sold for 80 that day, would you still be kicking him right now? You would only lift him up to the skies, and then mock me Shu Guiyuan as a fool together. The crowd instantly went dead silent. Having their inner thoughts exposed, the bee farmers looked at each other and lowered their heads in shame. I slowly walked down the steps, coming before the barrel of honey, brought by Auntie Zhang. That blue plastic barrel was still bought with my money. The barrel body was completely filthy and sticky liquid was oozing from the edges of the lid. I stretched out my hand, and before even lifting the lid, that pungent, sour smell already rushed straight to my brain. This is the sincerity you brought. Smell it. This is vinegar, not honey. Boss. Shu, although it has a bit of an odor, it can still be eaten. Just process it slightly and it'll do. Process it. I do high-end processing. I don't collect garbage. This honey's yeast count exceeds the limit by tens of thousands of times. Even pouring it down the drain would be considered environmental pollution, and you want me to take it. We can lower the price 10 yuan. Just give 10 yuan enough to cover our hard work. Village chief, have you still not understood? It's not a matter of money. Back then I spent 200,000 to build the road and over 100,000 to gift beehives. I brought 1 million in cash and a convoy into the village to give you a high price of 38 yuan. That was my sincerity. It was my trust. You threw my trust on the ground, stepped on it, and even spat twice. Now the trust is broken. It can't be pieced back together. Forget that this honey is ruined. Even if it were the nectar and jade. Wine from heaven, I wouldn't want it. Because the 3 words, bee village, are already ruined with me and in the entire agricultural product industry. Boss Shu, you can't just watch us die without saving us. You built that road, you can't just ignore us. Yes, I built this road. I built that road originally wanting the god of wealth to enter the village to lead you to wealth. But I didn't expect that once the road was built. The god of wealth didn't go in, but instead it let out the demon of greed. In your hearts. Keep that road for yourselves to walk then. Whether you can walk out of it depends on your own luck. After saying that, I didn't spare them another glance, turning around to walk toward the building. A wave of sharp, miserable wailing came from behind me. The guards built a human wall to block them firmly outside. Unmoved, my pace didn't pause for a single moment. I knew that at this moment I was very cold-blooded, but I knew even better that kindness to a promise breaker is cruelty to a promise keeper. Returning to the office, I stood before the huge French window watching them like stray dogs, disappearing from my line of sight, carrying a truck full of sour stench and regret. On the desk sat a freshly brewed cup of honey water, which was new honey sent from the Yunnan base. The color was golden and the aroma was fragrant. I picked up the cup and took a sip. It was very sweet. This is the taste of a contract. While that crowd of people from Bee Village are destined to only swallow the bitter fruit they brewed with their own hands for the rest of their lives. That taste is more poisonous than arsenic, and more bitter than Coptis.